Yo, what's good, everybody, man? I want to talk about Bud and Jaron Ennis. It's been the talk of the town the past couple of days. They say that Jaron Ennis be clout chasing Terrence Crawford, and they say that a fight was talked about between those two, and they say that Jaron Ennis didn't want to smoke. And I fully have to disagree with that because I don't think Jaron Ennis is that type to turn down a title shot. I mean, people are really going berserk with this topic and really trying to put the duck label on him, but I don't think that fight was really on the table for them because they say that BLK Prime reached out to Showtime to make the fight, and I guess Showtime didn't want to let Boots go to BLK Prime. You know what I mean? To uh to fight Terrence Crawford because I feel like they've been building up Boots and all that. And I heard that it was over money and stuff like that they didn't want to keep negotiating. And Showtime, I guess, was the one that left the table first. So I guess that they saying that Boots ducked or whatever because his network, didn't want to deal with BLK Prime. And I just feel like that's the wrong perspective. I mean, he can't, they have him under a deal. I mean, there's no way in hell that Showtime is going to let him walk over to BLK Prime and fight Terrence Crawford over there and miss out on all that money. And maybe maybe they didn't want to talk about that fight because it's potential for the Errol Spence fight. And this was like they say that this happened between BLK Prime and Showtime about a couple months ago, I think, before he fought Karen. And I think before Bud fought Avanesian or whatever. Well, no, it wasn't before that. It was after that, I guess. But nah, man, these Terrence Crawford fans, they think that every single fighter in welterweight is just running scared from Terrence Crawford. And I can agree with you on some of them, like Virgil Ortiz and Keith Thurman and people like that. But Jaron Ennis, him fight. They saying that him fighting for the IBF interim title means he was ducking Bud because when you get the IBF title, you get taken out of the WBO rankings. He was number 2 behind Virgil Ortiz for Terrence Crawford's belt. But that title shot was not there for him. I mean, there wasn't a serious window right there for him to get that fight, in my opinion. So I don't see why that he's getting this duck label. And I heard them in interviews saying that they was gonna let Spence fight Crawford first. They wanted the undisputed to happen first. But right now they have the IBF interim belt, and if Spence don't fight them, they get to be the full IBF champ. I think that is when you can, you know, that's when you can judge his actions towards Bud Crawford because I think that even the promoters they move that way. Like they first a lot of like top prospects, their first title shot is not against a dangerous ass champion like Terrence Crawford. I'm just keeping it real. It's like you pay attention to boxing, you don't really see, up and coming prospects like that fighting a straight dog for their first belt. You know what I mean? Tim Tszyu is doing it, but that Jamel Charlo has all 4 belts, so he has no choice but to fight that dog and try to get all 4 of those belts instead of trying to wait for him to vacate belts and fighting for interim belts. You know what I mean? When there's an undisputed champ, that put pressure on a lot of duckers. Cause it's like if you won't even fight this man for undisputed, you's a real duck. You know what I mean? That's the same situation for Lomachenko and Devin Haney. Like Loma really don't want to fight Devin Haney, but Devin Haney got all four belts. Like there's no excuse. Like you can't say that he's got nothing to offer. Like he's got every single belt in the division. If you want to be a champion, you got to fight him. So like, yeah, being undisputed be forcing fights like that. You know what I mean? But as far as like Boots and Crawford, that that's not a duck in my opinion because the fight wasn't really on the table for Jaron Ennis. And Bud when he did that little interview, you know, not that interview, but he did that long IG, you know, post when he was talking about what went wrong with the Spence negotiations. He was like Ennis' name never came up. They were never even close to making a fight. It's like I think when Ennis, cause I think like a lot of the Bud fans like if Spence ain't gonna fight Bud, I don't think he'd fight Ennis before Bud either. So if Spence is leaving the division, Jaron Ennis is gonna be IBF full champ, and I believe that he's gonna be looking for the biggest fights possible, and Terrence Crawford's still gonna be there with that WBO belt. Uh, Virgil Ortiz, he not trying to fight Bud or Jaron Ennis. And who would the fourth champion be? I really don't know. I mean, that would be the time to fight Crawford soon as he get elevated, so he can unify with Crawford. You know what I mean? So that's when you can really see if Boots is really about that life. And if I was to say, I feel like he would fight Crawford, man. He's not. I heard him say that he'll fight Crawford for a little bit of nothing. Like y'all really tripping. Like y'all trying to paint this picture. Y'all see that Jaron Ennis is a huge threat to Bud, and now y'all just want to see any little thing just to say that he ducking Bud, just to make Bud seem like a hard ass. Y'all be talking about Bud like he's goddamn Black Murderers Row, man. It's like, let's be real, bro. Like, y'all acting like he sent this man an offer, like a 40% offer or something, and he turned it down. The two networks talked for a little bit about the fight, and Showtime walked away. Nothing really happened.